Okay, this next question, you can actually get from your textbook, Unit 6, or Chapter 6 review, page 463, number 1. And this is a multi-part question. So in this Canvas quiz, it's going to be 11, 12, and 13. So question 11, patients receiving artificial knees often experience pain after injury. The pain is measured on a subjective scale with possible values of 1, low, to 5, high. Let Y be the pain score for a randomly selected patient. The following table gives the probability distribution for Y. So Y is your random variable. And the probability distribution is missing 5, and you know they add the 1. So that's a fairly easy thing to do. Notice that this has a kind of a fill in the blank feel. That would not be how it would be on an exam. You would have to write a description based on the context of this problem. So this kind of gives you how you would do it. So you could say the probability of Y equals 5 equals 0. We can figure that out. Of course, we know that it's all the other ones combined minus subtracted from 1. So if we just do 0.1 plus 0.2 plus 0.3 plus 0.3, and you do 1 minus that, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 1 minus 0.9 is 0.1. So you're going to want to put in 1 for that blank. So what that means in context is there is a 0.1 probability that a randomly selected patient would rate their pain, his or her pain, as since it's 5 on a scale of 1 to 5. So that's actually the context there. So you want to make sure that you input those numbers here for getting the answer right, but 1, 1, and 5. But that's the context of the problem, and you'd be expected to do that on a free response. So let's move on to number 12. The question says, find the probability that a randomly selected patient has a pain score of at most 2. That's pretty straightforward. We're just going to do 2 or less. So you say the probability of Y is less than or equal to 2 is basically the probability of Y equals 1 plus the probability Y equals 2. So we already know those. That's just going to be 0.1 plus 0.2. So it'd be 0.3. So the probability of a randomly selected patient has a pain score of at most 2 would be 0.3. Put in the 3 for your answer. And let's look at question 13. Question 13 wants to know, what is the expected pain score and the standard deviation of the pain score rounded to 3 decimal places if necessary? So I'll show you how to do these by hand and then also with the stat menu. So by hand, you still want to use your calculator, but the input value is the mean of, and it should be Y, not X. But to get that, you're going to do your values times your probability. So it's going to be 1 times 0.1, 2 times 0.2, 3 times 0.3, plus 4 times 0.3, almost went to 4 there, and then plus 5 times 0.1. Remember, we had calculated that in the first problem. So that's going to give you 3.1. So the expected pain score is 3.1. So that's, over many people sampled, we would expect that average to be about 3.1 on a scale of 1 to 5. So the standard deviation of y, not x. To get that, what you do is you first get the variance, okay? So we do the value minus the mean squared, and then we times that by the probability. So each probability right there. So that 1 comes from here. The mean is going to stay the same. So 1 minus 3.1, then we add it. We do 2 minus 3.1 squared times its probability. You do the same thing with the 3 times its probability. Now I'm running out of room, so I'll add that over here. 4 minus 3.1 squared times its probability, which is 0.3. And then 5 minus 3.1 squared times its probability, which is 0.1. And that's going to get you your variance. So let's do that. And pause that here to write that down if you need to. Make sure I have all the right numbers. And then in your calculator, you can just put this all in at once. So 1 minus 3.1 squared times 0.1 plus 2 minus 3.1 squared times 0.2 plus parentheses 3 minus 3.1 squared times 0.3 plus 4 minus 3.1 squared times 0.3, and then plus, finally, 5 minus 3.1 squared times 0.1. You do all that, and you get 1.29, which is your variance. So this is your variance, which means your standard deviation is going to be the square root of that. So the standard deviation, oops, 1.29. And the square root of 1.29 is about 1.1357. We're going to round that to 3 decimal places. So it's approximately 1.136. So on average, the pain score typically varies about 1.136 values from the mean of 3.1. Now, that's the answer. You can put those two values in, 3.1 and 1.36. You also need to know how to do this on the calculator. So on your TI 83 and 84, you're going to go to your stat menu and enter that data. And I'm going to pause it and get that. Okay, if you haven't gotten these entered in yet, go to your stat menu and under L1 and L2, let me get that glare out of here. You can see I got the values and the probability entered in for both of them. So now we're going to do stat, calc, one var stats. For a list, you want L1. So with one variable stats, you got to do, with the TI 83, you do second L1, then you do comma. For the 84, just go to frequency list and make sure that that says L2. If it's blank, you do second 2. And then here you do comma second 2. And then press enter. And you can see that the mean is the 3.1. And then the standard deviation is 1.1357, which is what we calculated. Notice that it does not give you the variance. So if you were asked for the variance, you would square that number. But 1.1357, 1.136, that's what we calculated here.